This is a review of the new Panasonic 42.5 F1.2 O.I.S lens. That's really quite a mouthful, but this is quite a lens. In fact, I had to do this stand-up a few times so I could maintain focus. This lens has a very narrow focus, even outdoors, using the variable ND filter, so I'm at 1.2. If I move forward, you'll see me go out of focus. When I come back, I should come back into focus. You really need to watch focus with this lens. This is the new 42.5 Leica Nocticron. Nocticron, of course, is similar to Nocton, which is the Leica designation for their full-frame rangefinder lenses. But for Micro Four Thirds, they call it a Nocticron. And as you can see, it's a big lens. It's metal. The focus ring is metal and well dampened. I mean, it's just nice and smooth. I'll show examples of focusing a little bit later. It has a aperture ring in third stops going all the way to 16 from 1.2. On this side of the lens, you will see the focus switch, which is the first for a Micro Four Thirds lens, and of course the O.I.S switch. The accessories that come with it are the lens cap, the bag, and the nice metal lens shade. This metal lens shade has felt inside, so it minimizes reflections. And I haven't seen a lens shade like this since some of the cameras of yesteryear, in the old film days. But I suspect that's a lot of the influence of Leica in the design of this lens. And putting on the GH3 is just like any other lens, because it is the standard Micro Four Thirds mount. It is autofocus, and of course has the new image stabilization as well. On the camera, you definitely feel the weight of the lens. The two together makes a very potent combination, but it looks good on the camera. Now I want to show you some instances of what the footage looks like from the lens in an interview situation. Alright, this is an interview situation where I've set up the camera and the lens is at 1.2. The ISO is at 400. Over here I'm using an FNV R300 300 LED light with an umbrella. And I'm having natural daylight on the other side coming in through the window. Behind me, the television is probably about 2 feet behind me. The bookcase is probably about 6 to 10 feet behind me. And I wanted to give you an example of what an interview would look like being shot with this lens at 1.2. And this is about the positioning I would be for most of the interviews that I do. My guess, the camera is probably about 10 feet away, which is a comfortable distance for the interviewee. And I like to have it about that distance when I'm interviewing people. If you get the camera a little closer, they become a little less comfortable. This is the setup for this interview, and I wanted to show you what the setup looked like. I have been doing these interviews using the Lumix smartphone app. I've been checking focus and making sure that I'm properly framed with this Lumix smartphone app. This is giving you an example of an interview where the camera is about 4 feet away from the subject and the background's about 6 feet behind me. The camera is about 3 feet from me The background is about 3 feet from me. I'm really basically in the middle. I wanted to show you what it looked like when you get fairly close to a background. But there's a little bit of a distance. As I said, the camera is about 3 feet from me. The background is about 3 feet from me. So this will give you an idea when you get a little bit closer to the background what an air view looks like. Now the camera is about 6 feet in front of me, but the background is still 3 feet behind me. I just moved the camera. You can see that the background's a bit more in focus, but it's still out of focus because of this 1.2 lens. So for most interviews, you can even be fairly close to the background. The subject can be close, and the camera can be a little bit further away and still have the background out of focus. Okay, this is with image stabilization off. And I'm going to click it on, and that's with image stabilization on. Off. On. Seems to be pretty effective. I'm at 1.2 and now I'm going to change the aperture ring. It's in third stops, but they're all click stopped. Being a 1.2 lens, this is a very bright lens inside, especially with daylight coming in. This is an ISO 200 at 60th of a second. That's closer to more of a proper exposure, and that's f2. This is at f3.5. Here's 1.2 at a 60th of a second, and manual focus. The focusing ring on this lens is very well dampened, even though it just infinitely turns like all Panasonic Micro Four Thirds lenses. But as you can see, it's very well dampened. This is using autofocus by pushing the button. As you can see, this lens is quite a wonderful lens. I'm very impressed with the image stabilization and also the way the autofocus looks on this lens. I think it's going to be an ideal interview lens. I'm very pleased that Panasonic came out with this big, beautiful lens. Stay tuned for Frugal Filmmakers for more.